Marvel Rivals is quickly becoming one of my go-to games. I have so much fun with it. I've never even played these type of games, but I just turn the game on, jump into a match, and I'm just having fun. I mean, I'll be honest, confession time, I don't even know what I'm doing half the time, but I'm just having fun, and isn't that what matters? But I do know what I'm doing for this video. It's a very simple idea. You've probably seen it from literally everybody else that creates any sort of content for Marvel Rivals or literally any game ever. But here's a want list for some characters that I'd love to see playable in Marvel Rivals at some point in the future. And then the fun part is you guys can judge me down in the comments based on are my picks good or are they total garbage? Let me know. So let's start with, and I'll stress, these characters aren't in any specific order, but just in case anyone cares, probably they don't. So we'll start with Green Goblin. One type of character that I'm really enjoying is the aerial combat. I've been playing a lot of Iron Man. I don't know if I'm good with him. I like the style of the character. So if you could give me another character that flies around and does some damage, I'll take that. So give me Goblin flying around on his glider, of course. He's got his basic attack, probably just a couple, just fires out multiple rounds, nothing too crazy, just flying around on his glider, does what he does normally, so you got that. But he's gonna need some abilities. Every character needs some abilities for some extra damage and maybe a couple extra attacks. So why not give them some missiles to fire out? Maybe it's just like 1 or 2 missiles just kind of fires out, and then just maybe they're heat seeking too. Maybe you could go that route if you want to, but just fires out a couple missiles. Or what if you did like a barrage of missiles? You get like 4 or 5 missiles. You just point it in one spot, fire. Hopefully you do a chunk load of damage. Chunk load, that's a word. If it isn't, I'm adding it to the dictionary. But after our chunk load of damage with our missiles, we still need something a little else, right, for Goblin. So what if we give him his glider, obviously, because he should be on it, but what if we do like a thrust forward where the glider kind of, the spikes on the front of the glider pointed forward, and you do like this thrust motion forward with it's like a big boost of forward momentum, if you will, and you just kind of like slam into the opponent. So this could be a good way to gain ground on an opponent. Maybe they're trying to run away and you're like, ha ha, not so fast, let me hit you with bam, there goes the glider spike. So something like that would be kind of cool. I'd like to see that. So Goblin is one of the first characters I'd like to see. Character number 2, Cyclops from X-Men, has to be in this game as a playable character eventually, right? I hope so. So Cyclops, I mean, he might seem a little basic, generic. I don't mean that in a bad way, but maybe some people just go, oh, he shoots lasers out of his eyes. What else can he do? Well, that's the fun part. You can have different ways that you can incorporate his optic blast into his moveset. So that would be probably his basic attack, right? Optic blast just kind of fires out shots from his eyes or his visor, right? So there you got that. But what if we had a little bit of fun? Give him his optic, I called this an optic boost, but he fires out a shot forwards, but the momentum of the shot propels him backwards. So that way, if you find yourself in a tough spot and you're facing a 2-on-1 situation, you're like, oh, I got to get out of here. You fire out this ability, you hit a little bit of damage, but you get sent flying backwards a decent distance, right, to try to gain ground, not ground on your opponent, but try to get away from the opponent, try to reset the situation, right? Optic boost would be pretty fun. Or what about another ability? I like this one. This would be kind of a fun one. What if you activate something and, I don't know, say it's only active for 10 seconds, but for the next 10 seconds, whatever that time is, every shot that you fire out from your visor will have a ricochet ability. That way, if you miss, no big deal. Maybe you can catch them on the ricochet, and maybe it does a tiny bit of reduced damage, or maybe it's the normal damage. I don't know. I'm not on the dev team, so I don't know the numbers. But ricochet, maybe you're trying to catch an opponent running around the corner, and if you're pretty good at pool, and you're like, haha, 8-ball corner pocket, but I need to go around the 3-ball. Perfect. I got this. Bam, bam. Knocked out the opponent. That'd be pretty fun, right? Character number 3, Ghost Rider. Ooh, this would be fun. This would be fun. So I'm trying to imagine what would his default, how would he play? Is he boots on the ground character, or is he riding around his motorcycle the entire time? I think he's more boots on the ground, and then you give him his motorcycle as like an ability for mobility. You know, he's able to kind of drive around in this thing for a little while, you know, a little faster than his run speed, obviously. But how about you turn that into an ability, and we'll call this like a motorcycle charge, right? Jumps onto it, drives it, and then at the very end, when the ability timer runs out, he kind of like does like maybe pops a little wheelie, or he just kind of, in a sense, throws the motorcycle forward, and hopefully you hit the opponent, causing some big damage. So, you know, that way, if the opponent's trying to run away and you're like, wait a minute, come here, or you drive the motorcycle and then you combo it with his next ability. I called it like a fire NATO whip, but he takes that flame, I forget the actual name of it, the hell chain. Is that what it is? I don't think so. But he takes his whip, he takes the chain, swings it around himself multiple times. It'll hit any opponent that's around him. But then the final little animation, he like whips it straight forward. So you got to aim it towards the end of the animation, but several swings around him, creating like this little fire NATO effect, and then whip it forward. So there you go. Motorcycle charge into the entire team. Well, it's a bad idea, but into the entire team, and then you hit them with this fire NATO. That's some pretty big damage. Next up, let's go over Deadpool. I think everybody wants Deadpool, at least somewhat, right? So I don't think I need to say too much about him, but it's Deadpool. Just imagine the interactions he could have with the rest of the roster. It'd be so fun. So cool. I'd love to hear, but I mean, how's he gonna work? Obviously, he's got his katana, he's got his sword, he's got, you know, he's gonna use that somehow. So maybe one of his abilities is a flurry of sword strikes, just rapid, just slicing up the opponent, right? Big damage. So there you go. He's going to need to get in there up close, but maybe not always, because what if he uses some of his, you know, shooties, right? I just called them shooties. Okay. But what if he uses like the Gold Desert Eagle, huh? That would be a nice touch, right? But he pulls these out and maybe he does something where he just empties the clip, rapid fire, just absolutely obliterate the opponent with this. So, you know, and plus it gives him some range for an attack. Always good. You don't always need to be, you know, up close and personal. You know, sometimes the opponent's got a little BO and you're like, all right, I need to back off and finish you from a different side. So how about that? But it's Deadpool. I don't need to say much more, right? Honorable mention characters, and real quick, Doc Ock. I would love to see him just kind of like with his arms, just kind of like gripping onto buildings, and you just kind of like travel. You can travel that way, which would be pretty fun. Black Bolt. I always thought this dude is kind of underrated, but I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that. But Black Bolt would be really fun. And then Ant-Man. How do you make him work? Do you give one of his abilities where he turns into Giant Man? That would be kind of fun. But you know, just a couple honorable mentions there. And then of course that brings us to the final character, Thanos. If you know me, if anybody knows me, I love villains, so I like to see some villains on my roster. We already got villains on the roster, but I will never say no to more villains. So Thanos, for me, would love to see. Give him the Infinity Gauntlet. Sure, why not? Just give him the Gauntlet in general, and then use the Infinity Stones. So, like, for example, Mind Stone. Maybe whoever you're pointing it at, it causes them to slow them down for just a brief second, which allows you to then get in there and, well, take advantage of the situation because your opponent is, well, debuffed at the time. So, you know, something like that would be kind of fun. Or you could just give him, like, the Power Stone, obviously, and maybe he just gets really angry and then gives, like, the rest of his teammates, like, I don't know, an attack buff or something. So you don't want to see Thanos when he's angry, right? And, of course, his ultimate attack would have to be the finger snap. And we all know what happens when he snaps his fingers, right? Okay, maybe it's not an instant one-shot in the game. Maybe that's a little bit too OP, but maybe he just snaps it and everybody takes big damage. Well, everybody on the other team just takes some big damage, or it has to be in the realm of where he's snapping his finger, whatever it is, but you know, there's a lot there. So those are the 5 characters, or essentially 8 characters, that I would love to see come to Marvel Rivals at some point. Rate them down in the comments. Are they good? Are they terrible? Or is this the best list you've ever seen? Either way, that is going to be it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you when I'm looking at you.